I guess now we can add Ivalice to the map of Hydaelyn, because guess what? We now get to go into Dalmasca, and we all know where Dalmasca is, right? Right, slap dab in the middle of Ivalice, right? So yeah, 14 is now proving even more of a lore goldmine than I would have ever thought. I mean, having two worlds collide into one with such an unexpected way, it's beyond all my reasoning, for which Yoshida, who has always been a bit predictable in terms of story, decided to go ahead and implement into the growing world of Hydaelyn. Like it or not, old man, I'm pretty good at figuring you out. Although I'm sure your little hints aren't meant to be somber levels of mystery, you do leave subtle hints in what you want to do in your interviews, and pulling them off is what I look forward in seeing how you go about it. So you guys might be wondering, how can this Rabanastre be the same as the one in 14? Two different games and two different worlds, right? Well, I know that some may see this as a story in the game that just entwines the land and races of the people in 14, but unlike the Alligans who were cemented into the world of Hydaelyn, we never heard of the land of Ivalice nor the city of Rabanastre until now. I keep saying Rabanastre, what the fuck's wrong with me? This city just comes out of nowhere with how it came to be. That of a fabled story in-game called the Zodiac Braves, which tells the story of a noble who fights a war to become king to stop the corruption from the church and old royalty both, also known as the War of the Lions. This subtext is also present under the Final Fantasy Tactics game, also known as Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. The story so far looks one for one with 14, from one Delita who goes to war with the kingdom whose wrongdoings could not be suffered, one church that drove the war on with its secrets, and even one underground militia run by one Ramza, who actually fought the real war deep down in the dark, while his best friend Delita was fighting on the surface in the light. Now, it can't be a coincidence that the story would be passed on and remembered in this world. It has to be a connection with the time and place to the now present Hydaelyn. I can't just chalk this up as another story implemented into 14 by means of fanfare, or because it's just another Final Fantasy game that they can use. The story itself tells so much that it's hard to look away. Like, why would the area be in a desert region within an undisclosed area within the Garlemald territory? A region we have yet to explore, seeing how the main antagonistic forces of the Garlean Empire are all over the place. But as Garleans who are running around the place and have lived in Garlemald, Ramza, his sister, and his father must know the region very well, and that they do. Your first mission was to save Ramza and Olma's father, Genimus Sin Lexentail, from the ruins of Rabanastre. He is also the writer of the story within the game, the Zodiac Braves, and the owner of the rather large ship, the theater ship, known as, get this, Prima Vista. Way to sneak in that Final Fantasy IX reference in there, Bobby. Well, as it would seem that you were asked by Olma to not only save her father, but also her brother, this tale is most likely going to end up with more history on the War of the Lions due to the obsession of both the father and the son. Lena, Murilla, and Sid also tag along for this journey due to Lena being nosy as fuck because reporter stereotype, and Sid is basically the old friend. The warrior in this case must go to Rabanastre, located in the center of the Dalmasca Desert, and find Genimus before he becomes a victim of the ruins and his own psyche. But what you find is quite the discovery. Upon arriving, you find that huge, powerful creatures block your path to the center of the city, each being very familiar within the series, two of which are Espers from the Final Fantasy Tactic games and Final Fantasy XII. The Espers were summoned creatures that lent their power in combat. The two I speak of are Mateus the Corrupt and Hashmal, Bringer of Order. Luckily, they aren't as powerful as they are in 12, with shit like this being a thing. You of course defeat them, the first being Mateus, and finding yourself against thieves who were pillaging the ruins while you were taking care of the danger. However, these thieves were not native to your country at all. In fact, they seem new and unfamiliar to your region. Banga, Seek, Oratan, Yenso— oh, wait, hold on. These bastards are already in ours. What the fuck? Well, at least the Seek and the Manga are new to us, and they come seeking treasure from within the ruins. Treasure like the Auracite that seem to be the core to these powerful creatures. Auracite or Magicite, the core crystal and product of the land of Ivalice. Remember that a certain kind of Magicite known as Nethicite was also part of the story by a big margin in 12, being used as an energy source for machines and also absorbing mist for the very use of weapons and airships. Now, Auracite was mainly used to summon the Espers, which is why we see Mateus and Hashmal hanging out in Rabanastre right now. Auracite was what kept them locked away in 12, and in here are used to summon the Espers by the means of bodily takeover. Summon this dude and the final boss by the same means. Nethicite isn't far behind from being discovered in this story, and I'm sure Sid will be the one to observe and make use of it. But for now, let's connect the dots here. How do we prove that this Rabanastre is the same one in 12? Well, if not for the Espers, the story, and the city, or the races, why not look at the main antagonists? Yes, the biggest clue are the Garleans themselves. The Garleans make up of many races, but they all have something in common, and that is their armor and attire. And since we are at it, it's important to note that true Garleans can't use magic. Keep that in mind. So the Garleans wear quite the scary looking stuff, and if you take a look at the higher ups, they seem more judgely, don't you think? Yes, if you look at them, their designs are no different than the judges that once walked the lands of Ivalice. The design, the way they sound, and even the fact that they can't use magic but have great physical abilities. Now let me explain why I said keep the fact that they can't use magic, by they I mean true Garleans, in mind. In 12, you may argue that the player characters are indeed using magic. So what the hell am I talking about? Well, let's see. Magicite, a common resource found in Ivalice, contains magics that can be extracted. You can sell this item as loot in Final Fantasy XII, but never be equipped due to them being a pure ore. However, they, the party, do use magic when you purchase it on the license board. What they purchase are magicite crafted and processed into spell stones for use of common magics, with a K. Used by the most common of people, and the strength of the spell are all dependent on how the user can master it. Basically, they are all the same in anyone's hands, but mastery over it is all on how the person uses it. Now, Garleans have no magic to speak of due to their, get this, Evolution roots, I believe. The people of old Ivalice could not use magic naturally, so I'm guessing that their descendants would also have this disability. This, however, does not explain their physical abilities. Well, a true Garlean holds a sort of gem, or third eye on their forehead. This thing seems to be born in on only the true-blooded Garleans, and is what gives them their strength. Now let's think back to Nethicite, used to power machines, weaponry, and even people. Nowadays, Garleans have the physical prowess to meet anyone on the field, mostly due to how they survived on their own back in their hellish little continent, and also their third eye. In 12, a prototype augmentation process had one infuse a piece of artificial Nethicite to a recipient, causing great physical and magical improvement. Now, since 12 took place possibly thousands of years before the events of 14, you might think that the Garleans of this time have already mastered said augmentation to the point that it's now biogenetic, meaning it grows on the person and is even birthed with them. A little far-fetched, I know, but believe me, it explains a whole lot about the nature of true Garleans. This doesn't prove all of what I'm saying could connect Ivalice of 14 to the one we know in 12, but it is enough to get people asking questions, and inciting the thought of Rabanastre being the same place that Vaughn and his company used to walk around in during the Age of Technology and the Flight of the Sky Pirates. And because proof of this is still inconclusive and I'm not about to make shit up here, we'll need to wait for the story to expand in 3 months when patch 4.2 whatever comes out. But here we can properly ask, is this the same Rabanastre we know and love? Are these the same Espers from the time of Arcadia's invasion? Did the judges influence the Garlean armor design of today? And finally, are these the same magicite processed Auracite that summoned the Espers so long ago? Well, the answer to that one is actually yes. In the end, we don't really know, but it's quite a question that can lead to quite the journey for people like me in this whole story thing for 14. Though we don't know for sure if this is the same Rabanastre of old, I would like to think that this may just be the same one, and that Hydaelyn was always home to Vaughn, his friends Ramza with his party, and perhaps 2 of the greatest political wars to have ever happened in Final Fantasy history. Time will tell, and perhaps so will the guest writer for Return to Ivalice, Yasumi Matsuno. Hashtag Google it. Perhaps Ivalice was always around the corner, and perhaps not all worlds are so far apart. Hey, thanks for watching my video, which should have been out months ago, but I am sorry about that. Some IRL shit came up, bonds were broken, things broke down, and also I got an office job, yay! Other than that, I've been discouraged by YouTube and how they've been acting towards YouTubers, so I've decided to give myself a vacation. Obviously, they're giving us the middle finger, so why not give them back the same thing by telling you guys that I'm demonetizing my videos. Yeah, fuck it. I mean, I have an office job, and they really don't want to give a shit, so I'm just gonna not monetize my videos anymore. Also, I do Twitch streaming. You want to go over to Twitch? Here's a link right here. Or you can go into the descriptions and click on that link down there. But yeah, now I do streams almost every day. Might want to go check that out. Gets rather lonely. Alright, see you there.